One of the things I struggle the most with as a special needs mom is the sensory issues. My daughter is 18. She is autistic, and she is very particular about her food. Bread in particular. She loves bread, but she refuses to eat any bread that I have made so far, and I have tried so many recipes. She prefers store-bought sandwich white bread. So today I'm going to try 3 different ways of making it to see if it's how I make it that she doesn't like. Hi, and welcome to Weekend Skills Lab. I am Christy, and today we are making bread. So we are using a recipe from this book called the No Fuss Bread Machine Cookbook. And I've made this recipe several times. It's the everyday white bread, and we're using the 2-pound recipe, which calls for 4 cups of flour. Ends up making 16 slices of bread, supposedly. Depends on how thick you cut them, of course. So what we are doing is using the recipe as the control, but we're going to make the bread, actually bake the bread, 3 different ways. The first way being in the bread machine. And I'm using this bread machine to make my dough. And actually the first one is already, or the first one's already done. This is the second dough ball. That I've made, and then we'll make the third one together. So the first way we're going to cook it is in the bread machine, and the one that we make here together will stay in the bread machine to finish. The second way is we're allowing the first dough that came out to rise on top of the stove right now in a bowl under a towel. I'll show you. The first one we made, it's rising on the stove in a bowl under a towel. And the third one, so that one we're going to put in the crock pot. I've seen it done, and I know that you have to finish it under the broiler to get the good golden brown color on top because it just stays white, basically. We're using white flour. The third one we're going to bake in the oven. So I'm going to get this dough out into this already sprayed bowl. Move my stuff a little bit. Move this over. That's easier. So this is finished making its dough, and I'm going to pull it out of here. My bread machine, the paddle does not come out of the pan, so it's fine. I'm going to clean up any pieces stuck behind. Okay. Put this back in. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the stove with the other one and cover it with a towel and let it rise. And now we're going to make our third and final dough. So I've already measured out all of the ingredients. So I don't own a stand mixer, so that's why I'm using this bread machine to mix my dough for me. You can use a stand mixer if you'd rather. You don't want to do it this way, but these are my controls. So for this experiment, my controls are the recipe itself, the exact same recipe 3 different ways, and I'm mixing the dough the exact same way 3 different times. So now we're going to go ahead and add our ingredients. And when you're using a bread machine, you always put the liquids in first. And you put the dry ingredients on top. The paddle at the bottom pulls everything in from the bottom. So it works that way. I had you put this on the dough setting for the previous 2 loaves. For this one, I'm putting it on basic light, 2-pound capacity. We're going to start with 1.5 cups of warm water. 2 tablespoons of melted and cooled butter. Then we'll start going in with our dry ingredients. This is 2 tablespoons of sugar. This is 2 teaspoons of salt. These are just vessels that I've measured into. This is a 1/4 cup of dry milk powder. Not every recipe uses milk powder, but this one does. You can leave it. I've seen the exact recipe with just left out, so up to you. Oh, next is the flour. 4 cups of bread flour. And on top of everything goes 1½ teaspoons of yeast. Now you can make a little well in here for your yeast in that, or just pour it on top. I don't think it matters. I make the well because the very first recipe I saw said to make the well. All right, that's it. Vinny, I'm going to push this back so it's on basic light, 2-pound capacity. Start. The other 2 are going to rise over here behind you on the stove. When this does its second knead, then I will knead the other 2. Okay.
I decided here that I didn't like the way that was shaped, so I took it back out and reshaped it to be more attractive. I think it worked out.
I'm going to reshape this into more of a ball. So this crock pot is already heated, and it's kind of working on its second rise already. I'm just pushing the air out of it. It's working on its second rise already. And what I'm going to do is let this, because the crock pot cooks so slow, actually let this finish its rise in the crock pot itself. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and score this just because it's a round loaf. My bread knife. Deep. Good job. So there's 3½ hours left. This has been heating this entire time. It was on a 6 hours, so it's been going for 2½ hours. I'm going to go ahead and put this in as a ball right in here on the parchment paper. Carefully, not to burn myself. I'm going to let that go 1.5 to 2 hours. So I'm going to keep checking on it. The other loaf is over here rising still. Looking pretty good. This one looks really good in the loaf pan. Cover that back up and let that continue to rise a little bit longer. And got my dinner over here working behind you. So I'm going to check on that. So we're going to just let this go. It's fine. The bread maker machine says it has 2 hours and 50 minutes left on it because it has to do its rise and its knead and all that. But then it does all the work. $10 at Goodwill. I'm telling you, best investment. Even if we just use it for the dough in the future, we'll find out today. So we'll let that continue to rise, and I'll check back. All right, so the second loaf has risen quite nicely. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven now for 30 minutes at 350, and we'll see how this works out. Libby. All right, it's time to take out the one from the oven. Little pads on. It's puffed up big. It puffed up real big. Go ahead and turn the oven off. And I'm going to turn this and just pull it out of here with the paper if I'm careful. Go. Okay. All right, so it looks real good. Hear that? Feel the bottom. Sounds nice and hollow, like it's supposed to. I'll let this cool up here while we wait on the rest of them to be done. So there's already one thing, is that the one from the oven is done first. So there's that. All right, we'll leave that there and let it do its thing for a little bit. Ignore my dinner over here. That was sloppy toast. It's been an hour and a half since we put this in the crock pot, and I'm supposed to check it at an hour and a half. It's not even close to being ready, to be honest. Very, very gummy still. So I'm going to leave that for a little bit longer. Check on it later. All right, so I don't like how this crock pot bread is happening. It looks like the bottom is fine. The top is just soft. I can pull this up. And the bottom is getting brown. Okay, there you go. You can see that? That's getting brown. But the top feels gummy. So what I think I'm going to do here is take off this little rubber gasket. Let me use two hands. Okay, so this little black thing, there's a hole here that it goes in. I'm going to take that out and let the steam out of it. Maybe that's the issue, that it's just too much moisture in there. I'm going to let it cook like that for a few more minutes before I stick it in the oven for its final browning of the top. And we can check on, pull this out. You can see in the window there that this is poofed up nicely. It still has 37 minutes left. Click on that. I'm going to go ahead and preheat the oven and get ready to put this crock pot loaf in there to brown it. I'm wondering if there was just too much moisture trapped in there, because the bottom is nice and brown. So this is an interesting experiment. All right, pulling this out of the oven. Put it in there for its little broil. This side brown. This feels really, really dense. I don't think this one's going to be our favorite, but I'm going to hold judgment. Right. So oven loaf, crock pot loaf. I'm gonna let this one's cool enough now already. We're gonna let this one cool. We're gonna let the one in the bread maker finish, and it has 25 minutes left. So we're gonna let that finish and let it cool. Then we're gonna cut into all these and taste test, see what we think. All right, I am pulling out the bread machine bread. Very last loaf. All right, got the bread machine bread out. Really, really hot. I rigged up another rack. Oh, there it is. Nicely browned on all the sides. And there's the top. Looks like it does every time it comes out of the bread machine. So this one is cooled. This one is cooling. This one is fresh out of the bread machine. So I'm going to let all of these cool. Then we'll come back and do our cutting and taste testing to see how we feel. Let me feel this one more time. All right, so the sides got really dark. The rest of it, you hear how hollow that is? Sounding. Well, ASMR. Same with this one. This one. Very springy. I don't know. Guess we'll find out. Okay, it is finally time. We're going to do our taste test. First, we're going to look at these loaves. So this is the one from the oven. And I'm just going to cut it right through the middle. We're going to check out the crumb in it. Looks good. Smells good. Very soft. Very, very soft. Slice of it. I used to have a guide for slicing bread. It proved to be a pain in my rear, so I got rid of it. But I kept the knife from it. All right, I'm trying to make myself some room here. And taste this one. Just plain, no butter, nothing. Mm-hmm. Really good. I already know it's better than the bread machine one. All right, let me switch to the crock pot one now. So this one is from the crock pot. Definitely crusty on the bottom. Still soft, but I don't know. We'll see. And if you want to be hands off for a few hours, it would do. Sounds as good as the other one. And it's interesting, the color's different. So this is the one from the oven, and this is the one from the crock pot. The color is just slightly this one from the crock pot. Last one, this is from the bread machine. I'm going to go in the middle. There it is. Looks really close to the crock pot one. The one from the oven is it. To me, they're all good. Yeah. But the one from the oven is better. This way. Oven. Crock pot. I can do this. Oven. Crock pot. Bread machine. Very similar. Oh. This one's it. This is it. The one from the oven. 100% better. If I had to rank them, oven first. Number 1. Number 2 would be the bread machine. And number 3 is the dog on the tripod, of course. So number 1, oven, 100%. And 2 would be the bread machine. And 3 would be the crock pot. So, okay. When would the crock pot be handy? The crock pot recipe could be halved, right? You roll one of those up in the fridge, some plastic wrap or baggie, put it in the refrigerator. And you put it in a baby crock pot, like on a camping trip in an RV. You know how to think of that. So I could see that working in an RV. Maybe. You would have to do the, if you're going to take the bread machine to do the dough, you may as well do it in the bread machine if they're equal, right? Well, I'm going to try to get her to try this oven bread and see. No. Good news. I had the children, both of them, taste the bread, the one that I like. I'm sorry, what did you say? Did you say you want another piece? Oh. We have a winner. She's so upset that she likes it. Oh, I think that's hilarious. The oven. The oven's the winner. However you make it. The dough part, the preparation in the oven, the baking is the winner. All right. We've done our experiment. We have our results. Thank you for watching and have a great one. Bye.